Let's go ahead and get started. I want to just do a couple of really quick things before we introduce the teaching awards. Our alumni board is here with us today, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. And it's while we were doing introductions today, a number of our alums talked about the some of the people who were their teachers while they were here, the professors while they were here. And I also which is, it's just so remarkable to me that years and years after, it's true for me too, of my law school experience, that years and years after we graduate from law school, we remember these people who had an indelible mark on our formation as human beings and as thinkers and ultimately as lawyers. And um it's you don't think every day about the ridiculously privileged position that we hold inside our classrooms as teachers, and the impact that we have, the potential impact that we have on our students. And that impact can be impact for great, I was going to say impact for good, but it's actually impact for great, right? Impact for greatness. It can also be impact that can be detrimental if we're not careful. And so I'm so just thoroughly pleased to be at a law school where the commitment to teaching is as deep as it is, and where our professors and colleagues are just so thoughtful about the work that they do in the classroom and the energy they bring into the classroom. So I'm just so happy to get to welcome all of you to this year's Teaching Awards ceremony. It's really is one of my favorite events of the year. There's so many favorite events of the year, but this is one of them because it does give us a chance to come together as a community to recognize and to celebrate, and for a moment to just be really thoughtful about what happens inside our classrooms. Because that is work that happens just day to day. It is the pressurized work of faculty. It is the one, non-negotiable, deadline riddled truth that you have to show up with energy and fully prepared for a day's work in the classroom. And so, because that work can feel so unrelenting during a semester, it's really important to step back and celebrate it on a larger basis. So here, you're deeply embedded in our culture, and now clearly embedded in our strategic plan is the commitment of our faculty and our staff to student success. And obviously, a lot of that success happens as a result of what we do in the classroom. And again, this is just a moment to make that commitment really visible. And I'm super pleased that this year we're able to honor a larger group of faculty than we're often able to do. The campus's teaching awards, we get funding from the campus to recognize our faculty, and that fund had built up to a point where we had more to give this year. And what's really nice about that is that it allows us to recognize a broader range of our faculty, and sort of go deeper into this significant excellence that we have in our classrooms and among our faculty. So I just want to thank every one of our honorees that we have today. Obviously, you've been recognized by your students for the commitment that you bring to them, and the nominations for these awards come from a student committee. I review the nominations, but the work of making the nominations happened by these great students and by others as well, in consultation with their peers. So it is the result of your work and direct efforts with them. I also they're going to recognize the sort of the traditional teaching awards that we give in just a second, but I wanted to take a minute too to recognize the Wallace family, the Leon Wallace family, which has made the Leon Wallace Award, which is our school's sort of highest teaching recognition and award each year. They've made that award possible. And that fund had also built up over time. We give a teaching award every year. And when we looked at that fund, the cash buildup in that account had grown to a point where we needed to really think about what else we could do with that fund. And so last year we created for the first time a Leon Wallace Teaching Innovation Grant, and faculty applied for those grants, and it was a competitive process. And we were able to give 4 of those grants last year. And so I want to recognize the faculty that were that won those grants last year. So Norm Hedges submitted a proposal to develop a number of course innovations related to law and technology in collaboration with partners at Purdue University. Bill Henderson developed a proposal for the development of his applied research practicum in Indiana legal systems, and that course is we were talking about the contributions that this law school is making to uh, solving the legal deserts problem in Indiana, and that course is entirely designed to address that problem in Indiana. Asaf Lubin won a grant on the proposal to develop a next-gen bar exam, a torts assessment booklet that is modeled on the next-gen bar exam. So we can talk more about the next-gen bar exam for those of you who still don't know what it is. But he's clearly got in mind the desire to assure that his students succeed on that next-gen bar exam. And Aviva Orenstein's proposal was to further develop the multi-state performance test problem sets and multiple choice questions in connection with her evidence course. So again, targeting that next-gen bar exam. So these teaching innovation awards are really intended to help us stay at the very forefront of the most novel and pressing issues on the teaching front for the school. So the next-gen bar exam, the law and technology, different ways that we can amplify the revenue generation mechanisms for the school through our teaching innovations. Those are among the priorities of the teaching innovation grant, and those were the winners for last year. We've got a new call for proposals out for this year, and so we're just really grateful to the Leon Wallace family for both the ability to recognize every year our school's most prized teacher as assessed by our students in a given year, and also let us continue to stay at the very forefront of legal education. So now I'm going to turn it over to our fabulous students who will do the great job of recognizing the teachers who are winning awards this year.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It's so great to be here with you all today, recognizing our incredible faculty. My name is Kate Leahy, and I'm very excited to be first beginning with the Adjunct Faculty Teaching Award. This award recognizes excellent teaching and is awarded each year to an adjunct professor who goes above and beyond to challenge, educate, and connect with students. I have the great honor of presenting this year's Adjunct Faculty Teaching Award to Professor Rafael Macia Bridas. Professor Macia is an exceptional educator who has left a lasting impression on his students. His deep knowledge and commitment to student engagement makes him an outstanding teacher, well deserving of this award. Students frequently highlight Professor Macia's collegial and discussion-driven approach to teaching, which ensures that all voices are heard and valued. His courses, particularly in educational law or in constitutional law and constitutional design, are both rigorous and intellectually stimulating. His ability to break down intricate legal principles for his students truly sets him apart as an educator. Beyond his teaching, Professor Macia is deeply involved in the Center for Constitutional Democracy, where he helps bridge the gap between academic study and real-world application of constitutional law. His passion for the subject matter is evident, and students consistently describe him as approachable, supportive, and genuinely invested in their success. Professor Macia fosters a learning environment that encourages critical thinking and active participation, making constitutional law not just a subject to study, but a field to explore. Every student leaves his class with a deeper understanding and appreciation of constitutional democracy. For his exceptional teaching and dedication to student engagement, we proudly present Professor Rafael Macia Bridas with the Adjunct Faculty Teaching Award.
So, thank you so much, Dinocho, and thank you to the committee for this really unexpected, but for that reason, all the more appreciated honor, especially when standing among so many colleagues that are so deserving of recognition as well. And I would know because I was a student here not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, but as a JD student and came to appreciate really the quality of so many teachers here. And even now as a VAP, I continue to learn from so many of my colleagues, and it is truly a privilege to be part of this amazing Maurer community, and I'm truly thankful to be to continue to be part of this community. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank particularly Professor Susan Williams, who has been my mentor during all of my time at IU, and from whom I've learned everything I know about being a scholar and a teacher. And last, also, but definitely not least, I also want to commend my students whose dedication and enthusiasm and respect, not just for the professor, but also for one another, have made my job as a very junior scholar so much easier and so much more enjoyable. And even teaching a class as politically charged and complex, and during times as politically charged as this, like First Amendment, they've always shown great nuance and intelligence, but also great grace and humility when discussing, when participating, when interacting with one another, when answering questions or asking questions. So I think they're really setting an example, not just for other student bodies, but for the community at large in times like these. And so I really want to thank them and thank the committee as well. It's really rewarding to see that other people see value in the things that you put work into, and that they appreciate the work that you put into those things. So I just want to say that appreciation is very much mutual. So thank you very much.
Let's do a little adjusting. Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Jean. It has been an honor to serve on this year's Faculty Awards Committee and to help to recognize some of the incredible educators who make such a meaningful impact on our community. I'm especially excited to begin the presentation of this year's Trustees Teaching Awards, given to faculty members who demonstrate exceptional dedication to teaching, mentorship, and student success. Our first recipient, she's not here, so I'll be reading her, but our first recipient is Professor Valina Beatty. Professor Valina Beatty is a shining example of what this award represents. In courses like criminal law, criminal procedure, and gender in the law, she encourages students not just to understand legal doctrine, but to wrestle with the deeper questions of justice, fairness, and the human impact of the law. In my own Gender in the Law seminar with her, I've come to appreciate how intentional she is about creating a space for reflection and thoughtful conversation. Each class begins with a mindful moment, a brief pause that helps us settle in and be present and to reflect for the meaningful conversation ahead. That intentionality, combined with her insight, her warmth, and care for her students, has made her classroom a transformative space for so many of us. Professor Beatty couldn't be here with us today, but she shared some words for this occasion, which I am honored to read on her behalf. Receiving a teaching award is an honor and a high point in a teacher's career. My mom is a teacher, and I grew up hearing stories about her students, meeting them at school events and lunches on weekends, seeing my mom grading papers on our kitchen counter, and hearing her repeatedly say, "I'm always happy in the classroom." I've tried to follow in her footsteps, and I'm thankful to have so many students at Maurer who are thoughtful, engaged, considerate, funny, and who want to learn about the law so that they can become the best lawyers they can be. Just like my mom and other teachers who receive this award today, my favorite part of the job is teaching and mentoring students, knowing we will all be colleagues in the legal community in just a few short years. This award means more than you know. Thank you. So congratulations to Professor Beatty. The next recipient of the Trustees Teaching Award is someone whose impact on students, especially our international community, has been both wide-reaching and deeply personal. Professor Gabrielle Goodwin is an outstanding educator and mentor. As director of the Graduate Legal Studies program, she plays a pivotal role in guiding international students through the complexities of U.S. law, helping them build the analytical skills and confidence they need to thrive, not just academically, but professionally. But her impact isn't limited to the LLM program. As a student in her legal writing course, I saw firsthand how she empowers students to sharpen their thinking and express themselves with precision and clarity. She holds students to high standards, but always meets them with the support and feedback needed to rise to the occasion. Professor Goodwin is also a generous mentor. Someone students consistently describe as patient, supportive, and deeply committed to their success. She helps students feel confident and fully integrated into our law school community, something that for many makes all the difference in the world. For her excellence in teaching, her devotion to mentorship, and the lasting impact she's made on so many students, it's an honor to recognize Professor Gabrielle Goodwin with the Trustees Teaching Award this year.
Thank you, Samantha. Uh, my husband, who some of you may know as Professor Downey, is also a lawyer and a law professor. And as you might imagine, that sometimes leads to some competition in our relationship. And the fact that we are both receiving awards today is going to cause a little bit of consternation at home, but it's absolutely worth it. So thank you so much for all of the kind words said today. I love teaching, and I love being in a classroom with my students, and I love teaching at this law school. It has been one of the greatest honors for me to be a part of your lives as students. This award is incredibly meaningful, and it's something I will be forever proud of. It's also, though, the opportunity and the privilege to make a difference, even a small difference in the lives of students in their legal education. So for that, I say thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I've had the pleasure of serving on the selection committee. Next, we are proud to present the Trustee Teaching Award to Professor Orenstein, who is also not here today. Professor Orenstein is particularly skilled and engaging as a lecturer, which is evident in her ability to make classes interesting, digestible, and memorable. Her unique abilities and teaching style provide students with the knowledge and skill set that they need to succeed as professionals. There are many aspects of Professor Orenstein's classes that make her teaching style so effective. Her classes include unique teaching methods and materials that are vital in helping materials sink in, such as a student-led recap at the beginning of each class, as well as an extensive use of hypotheticals, songs, movie clips, and videos, each of which are key in helping students comprehend the subject matter. These are just a few ways that Professor Orenstein goes above and beyond to help her students understand complex material. In addition to being a talented teacher, Professor Orenstein is also kind and welcoming. She has been described as pro-student because of her accommodating nature. Though accommodating, she still holds her students at high standards and demands the best of them. Professor Orenstein's dedication to her students is commendable. Professor Orenstein makes every subject fascinating. I had the pleasure of taking evidence with her and happily signed up for her section of trial advocacy. Her unique teaching style, genuine care for students, and practical experience are just some of the reasons we are proud to present the Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Orenstein. So I'll read some remarks on her behalf. I am currently at an evidence conference in New York City and apologize for not being here in person to accept this award. I wish to express my deepest thanks to the Student Selection Committee, my evidence students, and my colleagues. This honor is the one, aside from the honor of being a grandmother, that matters to me the most. More than ever in my lifetime, we need good, brave, and skilled lawyers. At a moment when basic principles of the rule of law are being flouted by those in political and professional power, it is essential that practitioners and students of the law remain steadfast in our principles of process and justice. I feel privileged to have a job that trains and influences the next generation of lawyers. I also feel extremely fortunate. I love coming to work every day. We have the best students at Maurer, and it is a pleasure to engage with you on questions of doctrine, policy, and justice. I don't know who else among the faculty will be receiving a teaching award today, but it is telling that there are scores of teachers in this building who deserve it. Thanks to my colleagues who have set the bar high in their knowledge, generosity, dedication, and craft. And thanks to my fellow teachers and the administration of our school for creating an environment where good teaching is valued. Next, I happily present the Trustee Teaching Award to Professor Downey. Each year, Professor Downey faces the challenging task of transforming anxious, wide-eyed 1Ls into polished, concise legal writers in just 2 semesters. He takes this challenge in stride, building meaningful relationships with students along the way. Professor Downey strikes the perfect balance between providing students with the necessary support and giving students the independence they need to develop their own writing skills. His teaching is made even more impressive by his ability to connect with students. He has been described as patient, easy to talk to, and always willing to help. Professor Downey does not just equip his students with the skills to write a legal brief. He also teaches students valuable life lessons, such as the importance of perseverance and humility. During the final class of the year, Professor Downey brings in the seemingly endless stack of rejection letters he received when applying to jobs after law school. He shares these rejections to demonstrate to students the importance of perseverance, illustrating that despite those setbacks, he achieved professional success. This lesson, which students describe as both inspirational and memorable, comes at a crucial time in a law student's life as they transition into their summer positions. I had the pleasure of learning from Professor Downey in my first year at Maurer and have no doubt that he deserves to be recognized for his effective teaching ability. We are proud to present the Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Downey.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Those were such kind words. It's a real honor to receive this award. And I don't have any prepared remarks, so I'll just tell you a story about what happened in class today. I taught a couple of hours ago, and the students are working on a constructive eviction problem. And they were asking me questions that were really hard to answer because they were just so insightful and so penetrating. And they showed like just a deep understanding of the law. And I was just so proud of them that they were able to kind of stump me in class. And I teach legal writing. And so this is, I believe, the only class in the law school that is a full year. And so I get them very far removed from where they are today. In the beginning of the first week of law school where they barely know anything. And so I was kind of joking with them. I stepped out of the role of answering the questions and said, you know, this is so fantastic that I get to have these conversations with you now. I mean, you're practically colleagues with me, and now you're leaving, and I have to start over again in 1L year with a new group of people. And so I'm a little bit jealous of all the professors that teach as 2Ls and 3Ls that they get you now. But it reminded me that that's one of the things I really love about the job is going back to the beginning and starting with a new group of people and shepherding them through this year-long experience and watching them just blossom and grow and then go on to their first job in the summer to be so successful. And the other thing I want to say is that I really just wouldn't be the teacher I am today without my colleagues, my legal writing colleagues. It is just the hardest working, most collaborative group of people I've ever been with. And so I'd like to think that I share this award with them. So thank you very much.
We are honored to present the next Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Sanders, who is also not able to be here today. Professor Sanders is a kind and thoughtful professor who consistently challenges his students to think critically about the topic he teaches. His ability to foster an intellectual environment and encourage independent thoughts sets him apart as a professor. Students in Professor Sanders' class appreciate the way he distills constitutional law in a way that makes it easy to grasp. His explanation of complex topics invites students to think more deeply about the issue and encourages student learning. Professor Sanders' excellent teaching extends not only to the students in his classes, but to the broader law school community. He is always willing to speak at events within the law school, keeping students informed of current events and engaged with the law. He relays information in a nuanced, eloquent way that students of all levels can understand. Even students who have never taken a class with Professor Sanders have learned a great deal from him through his participation in these panels. Further, Professor Sanders' dedication to students is evident by his efforts outside the classroom. He goes out of his way to help students with their cover letters, encourage students throughout the clerkship process, and connect students with practitioners outside the law school. His care for students at a professional level further exemplifies his commitment to students in the Maurer community. In every aspect of his teaching and mentorship, Professor Sanders demonstrates a deep dedication to his students' success, and we are delighted to present this award to Professor Sanders today. So these words are from Professor Sanders. In all the courses I teach, I attempt to instill in my students two things. First, an understanding of doctrine so they can apply the law in their own practice. And second, the ability to think like a lawyer, to understand the building blocks of a legal argument, to recognize and critique faulty reasoning, and to understand how law and fact should come together to build a persuasive legal argument. I also like for my students to know the stories behind cases and to understand how judicial backgrounds and personalities shape opinions. I tell them, for example, about how the first Justice Harlan wrote his great dissent in the civil rights cases, where he argued why Congress should have the power under the 14th Amendment to attack private race discrimination, using the same inkwell that had been used by Justice Roger Taney when he wrote the infamous Dred Scott decision. I think of teaching as more art than science. My goals are to provide clear explanations, backgrounds that bring cases alive, and an appreciation for how law develops alongside social and historical change. And it's apparent from the overwhelming amount of positive feedback that students provide to Professor Sanders that he is a superb educator. Next, we are proud to present the Trustee Teaching Award to Professor Andrew Hammond, who is not able to be here today. Professor Hammond is an adept lecturer who skillfully conveys course material to students at every level. Professor Hammond engages with students, forms meaningful connections, and makes an effort to get to know each and every student in his classes. Dozens of students have described Professor Hammond as the best professor they have ever had. This is not an exaggeration, but merely an illustration of his skills as a professor. One student even described civil procedure as fascinating after having his class. He makes students excited to come to class each day, ready to learn what he has to offer. Not only is Professor Hammond skilled at conveying the material in his courses, but he does so passionately, thoughtfully, and intentionally. He really cares about whether students understand the lectures and makes sure to answer all questions. He pays close attention to his students' understanding of the material and takes the time to go back and review complicated topics. It's clear he respects them and wants them to succeed and will go the extra mile to help them get there. Outside the classroom, Professor Hammond is equally supportive. He actively hires students for research and works with them to identify topics of interest for journal papers. Many students have been able to publish their research because of his encouragement and guidance. Professor Hammond dedicates so much effort, passion, and thoughtfulness to Maurer and its students. Maurer is lucky to have a professor so solidly in the students' corner, and we happily present the Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Hammond. Professor Hammond's remarks. I am honored and grateful to receive the Trustees Teaching Award. I also feel a bit sheepish as I still have a lot to learn about how to best teach civil procedure and administrative law. I am grateful I have colleagues at Maurer who are willing to help me navigate both the pleasures and the pitfalls of teaching those challenging courses. I love teaching at Maurer, and I love that Maurer values teaching. Having taught at other law schools, I also have a deeply and daily appreciation for our students. They are considerate, they are curious, and they are kind. Teaching them makes me hopeful for the future of our profession. Hello again. It is now my honor to present the next Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Cindy Cho, who is here. Maurer students recognize Professor Cho as a standout professor, inspiring practitioner, and fabulous mentor. She's beloved by her LRW students who value the clarity and guidance she brings to a challenging course. She clearly cares about her LRW students, and it's no surprise that they see immense growth in their legal writing skills under her careful instruction. I can personally attest to Professor Cho's excellent teaching. In the criminal procedure class I took with her, she set the stage for an exciting and rigorous course from day one. She began by sharing stories about her most prominent cases as a federal prosecutor, illustrating the important role criminal procedure plays in both in upholding the law and protecting the constitutional rights of the accused. Throughout the semester, Professor Cho continued to weave her extensive practical experience into her teaching, helping us connect what we read in our textbooks with real-life practice. She even designed and guided us through several simulations to help us learn, including a mock jury selection and mock detention hearing, so that we could learn by doing. Professor Cho's Crim Pro students appreciate the dedication and creativity that she brings into the classroom, and I know all of us will be better lawyers because of her efforts. On top of her excellent performance in the classroom, Professor Cho is an admirable example of lawyering for the public interest, and she inspires her students to work for public betterment, wherever their careers may take them. Professor Cho's superb teaching and inspiring advocacy have truly enriched the Maurer community. We are delighted to recognize her outstanding contributions with this Trustees Teaching Award.
Thank you. Yes, I do need this, don't I? Well, I am so surprised and thrilled to be the recipient of a teaching award this year, and especially because I'm so new to this. And I will say that being new to teaching, it is really humbling, and it is really hard work, incredibly hard work. And I say that after, I have tried a 3-month-long trial in West Palm Beach in the summer, so against doctors. So just think about that, and then think about the fact that teaching is so hard, but it is so rewarding because, first of all, of course, the students. And what do I mean by that? I have found that teaching, working with students, is probably the purest example and distillation of the fact that every person is so multi-layered, and that the first layer that you come across is never the only layer, and that people continue to evolve, or they continue to shed those layers or reveal different layers of themselves. And I have found that working with students is one of the greatest reminders of that universal truth. And especially at a time when maybe that's an important reminder, right? Every time you read the news, or every time you might sit with colleagues, and when you think about what the practice of law is going forward. So I'm so grateful to have that opportunity and to be reminded of that every day and in every interaction with a student. And second, I am so grateful to the faculty and the staff here who are so deeply kind, so warm and funny, and in particularly the legal research and writing faculty. I feel like we're getting a good day here at the Trustee Teaching Awards, because they don't just carry me on their back as the newest member of the LRW faculty, which they absolutely do. They check in with me, and they are true colleagues in that real sense of the word. So thank you, everybody, so much. I am so grateful and honored by this award.
I'm now delighted to present this next Trustees Teaching Award to Professor Jennifer Oliva. She was not able to make it here today. Professor Oliva quickly became a favorite in the Maurer community as soon as she joined the faculty in 2023, quickly winning over her students with her wacky sense of humor, quick wit, and incredible teaching skills. I had the pleasure of taking evidence with Professor Oliva and can confidently say she is one of the most engaging, knowledgeable, and adept professors I have had. Professor Oliva cultivates a welcoming environment while also challenging us to meet her demanding standards. She's a highly skilled attorney with extensive experience that she seamlessly integrates into her teaching. Students lucky enough to have her and to learn from Professor Oliva gain a deep understanding of the subject matter and are better students because of it. What's more, Professor Oliva makes every moment of class fun and interesting. Even our 1.5 hour late afternoon evidence class flew by because of her enthusiasm, humor, and passion for the subject. She also puts significant effort and creativity into her teaching, crafting hypos and endless practice problems for each class to help her students apply what we are learning. Above all, Professor Oliva cares deeply about her students and goes out of her way to make our law school experience enriching and enjoyable. Maurer students see that Professor Oliva brings something very special to the law school, and we are proud to present her with this well-deserved Trustees Teaching Award. Professor Oliva has shared some remarks in her absence that I'll read. She says, I am very sorry that I cannot be here with you today to express my gratitude in person for both this amazing award and for even having the privilege to teach Maurer Law students in the first instance. I am certain that many, if not all, of the wonderful teachers that are being honored today have already expressed there is simply no greater gift that you can bestow on a teacher. This means the world to me, and I thank you for the recognition from the bottom to the top of my heart. My students will appreciate that today I'm spending my day doing some of my favorite things, specifically debating the merits of the federal rules of evidence, and as a special treat, complaining about HIPAA. That's very, very exciting. Yet I'm even more excited to get back to Bloomington and thank my students in person at Maurer next week. Thank you again for making my day, week, month, and year, and see you in Health Law on Monday. My honor to present this next Trustees Teaching Award to yet another incredible member of the Maurer faculty, Professor Ryan Scott. Professor Scott is an accomplished scholar, engaging professor, and dedicated member of the Maurer community. Maurer students speak very highly of Professor Scott, finding that he brings keen insights into his classes and weaves important policy elements seamlessly into the doctrine. He is not only an excellent professor, but a devoted one. Professor Scott taught criminal law to the entire 1L class last year, which is nearly 200 students, which in and of itself is a huge task. But Professor Scott did not sacrifice the quality of his teaching or lessen his focus on student success. In fact, just as one example, he created a practice exam for his nearly 200 students and gave every single one of them individualized feedback. Professor Scott is truly dedicated to helping his students learn. I've been lucky enough to take federal jurisdiction with Professor Scott this semester. On the first day of class, he excitedly shared that we had chosen to take the most difficult class in the law school. And yet, for the students in the class, it has become one of our favorites, in no small part because of Professor Scott. He brings clarity to the complex topics we discuss, helping us grasp difficult material without losing any of its nuance. His classes are an excellent blend of lecture and Socratic-style teaching, where he masterfully draws out the key elements of each case and subject. And his enthusiasm makes us excited to learn. Students at other law schools might consider federal jurisdiction to be a headache, but Professor Scott has made it an enjoyable class for all of us. Professor Scott enriches students' minds and goes above and beyond to help us succeed. Maurer is lucky and proud to have him. For these reasons, we present Professor Scott with the Trustees Teaching Award.
Thank you so much, Kate. The students, this is a real honor. So I've been out of law school now for 20 years. This is my 20th year since I graduated. And last week, for the first time since I graduated, this had never happened before, I forgot the name of one of my professors who taught a class, and a really important class, a class that I really enjoyed. I could not remember his name, and it was driving me nuts. I looked at the website. He doesn't teach there anymore. I went to the school that he then taught at, couldn't find him, and it was driving me nuts. So I fired up the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine that lets you look at a website the way it looked 20 years ago, and scrolled through the names and pictures of every faculty member who taught me when I was in law school. And it was affecting to remember what it was like to be a law student, having now taught longer than I was a student. It brings back the first brutal cold call that you experienced, the first time my contracts professor used the word estoppel in a sentence, and I thought, you are making that up. It brought back all these concepts that I remember getting for the first time. And now I have the incredible privilege of helping my students get for the first time. It was moving to see all of the people who were involved in my own formation as a lawyer. And the two takeaways from this trip down memory lane. One is that for those of us who are in law teaching, if we're doing anything right, it's because we owe a huge debt to the people who taught us. A lot of the things that were just mentioned as stuff that worked in the classroom are things that I know I sponged off of the people who were great teachers for me. And the other thing, Dean Ochoa alluded to this earlier, law teaching matters. It affects us so powerfully. It changes the way we think about the world, the way we think about government, the way we read the news. Almost all of the changes are good. Eventually, our families forgive us for how annoying we've become. The important thing is the law teaching has an impact, and I'm just so lucky to have the chance to do it. So thank you very much. It's a real honor, and I appreciate it.
It's an incredible honor to present the final award of today's ceremony, the Leon Wallace Teaching Award, Maurer's highest faculty teaching recognition, to someone who has not only challenged and inspired generations of students, but who has done so with humility, heart, and an unshakable commitment to justice, Professor Jayanth Krishnan. Professor Krishnan is more than an exceptional professor. He's a pillar of our law school, an unwavering advocate for his students, a generous mentor, and a deeply valued member of our community. I've had the privilege of learning from Professor Krishnan across 3 courses: property during 1L year, immigration law last year, and now directed research under his supervision. Each of those experiences has left a lasting mark on my education and personal growth. But I want to be clear. This award is not just about my journey. It reflects what so many Maurer students feel when they speak about him. In the classroom, Professor Krishnan brings energy, clarity, and care to every lecture. He makes intricate legal doctrine accessible while encouraging us to think critically, ask hard questions, and be unafraid to form our own views. His classes are rigorous, yes, but there are also spaces where students feel seen. They feel heard and, most importantly, empowered. Beyond the classroom, he exemplifies what it means to be a true mentor. He takes time to check in, to listen, and to uplift. He reminds us that we belong. Even when we might doubt it ourselves, that kind of mentorship is rare. And for students who struggle to find representation in legal academia, it can be life-changing. Time and again, you'll hear the same thing from students, that Professor Krishnan is brilliant, generous with his time, and deeply kind. And in a profession that can often feel harsh, the kindness is a form of leadership that we deeply value. For all of these reasons and so many more, I'm thrilled to present this year's Leon Wallace Teaching Award to Professor Krishnan.
Well, what to say? First, I have to really just thank the students. The students are at Maurer are just absolutely amazing, and I'll say a little bit more about them in a minute. I also have to thank my colleagues who I learned from every day. Our great deans, Dean Ochoa, Dean Nagy, Dean Fuentes Rower. Thank you. To our alumni board, thank you for being here today. To see my former student and now really close friend, Alex Thibodeau here. It's just wonderful, and to see all of you here helping the school and really giving back. I think that's it's very moving. And I have to thank Sam because you know what to say? Sam's an amazing student, but she's become a really close friend. So I really, really want to say thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to tell a little story. It'll take 30 seconds. We've been here for a long time. But 28 years ago, I was actually in this room as a graduate student. I came here and I presented a paper with my then PhD advisor. And actually, I sat right here. And the paper wasn't very good. And, and I'll tell you, so I was here and, you know, I was just in awe of being here. I went to a Big Ten school for law school. I got my PhD from a Big Ten school. So to be back in the Midwest, I'm a Midwesterner, to be back here and to think about, you know, having the opportunity to ever teach in a place like this was just awe-inspiring. And the presentation didn't go well. And afterwards, I remember running into somebody who's long since retired from here. And, you know, I was sort of humbled, but I said, you know, uh, how do you get a job here at a place like Indiana? And he said, well, you don't give a presentation like that. So, so, which is, and I say that story mainly because it was from that moment on, I thought to myself, you can never take a moment, a day for granted in the classroom. And so I've been really sort of wedded to that principle since the day I entered law teaching, and to have to now actually be at the dream school that I always wanted to be at is moving beyond words. So I just want to say thank you to the committee, thank you to all of the students, to the board, to the deans, my colleagues, and everyone here in Bloomington. Thank you.
Um, all right, I'm going to collect myself just a little bit there because that was moving. Thank you for that, Professor Krishnan. So I first want to thank our committee, Kate Leahy, Nicole Vandy, Samantha Jean. Just really thank you so much for the effort that you put into selecting our awardees this year. There were obviously so many more that were considered, and we just have such a fabulous faculty that it's hard to choose. I know. And I know you did a lot of work in consulting your classmates and fellow students. And so thank you so much for all of your work. Really, thank you so much. And obviously, I want to congratulate again Professor Macia, Professor Beatty, Professor Goodwin, Professor Orenstein, Downey, Sanders, Hammond, Cho, Scott, Oliva, and obviously also Professor Jay Krishnan. You each are so deserving of these awards. And I want to also just take 1 minute to recognize the rest of our faculty, all of whom are also fabulous. And you know, they again just all put in so much effort every day to ensuring that the students that we teach become fabulous lawyers and fabulous human beings, and that is no small work. So thank you all very much. Congratulations to the awardees, and we'll see you next year when we recognize more of our fabulous teachers. Thanks.